And here we go now, 9 a.m. here in New York. The second Republican debate now in the books. 3 hours of questions, 3 hours of answers, 3 hours of insults and attacks by the 11 candidates in the primetime debate. Who were the winners and who, frankly, was not? It's going to be a stacked 2 hours, everybody. Hope you stayed up late last night. I'm Bill Hemmer, and welcome here to America's Newsroom. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
How
are you doing?
3 hours in high heels, apparently, last night.
I made it to about 10:40, and decided that it would be best to, catch the last 20 minutes in the morning. But it was a very long night, very interesting night. Good morning, everybody. I'm Martha McCallum. So pretty much right off the bat, it went right to Donald Trump, of course. Here's a taste of the evening, starting with the frontrunner firing his first shot.
First of all, Rand Paul shouldn't even be on this stage. He's number 11. He's got 1% in the polls. And how he got up here, there's far too many people. Anyway.
Short, tall, fat, ugly. My goodness, that happened in junior high. Are we not way above that?
I never attacked him on his look. And believe me, there's plenty of subject matter right there. That I can tell you.
This is what's wrong with this debate. We're not talking about real issues. And Mr. Trump, we don't need an apprentice in the White House. We don't need an apprentice in the White House. We have one right now.
You know, it's interesting to me. Mr. Trump said that he heard Mr. Bush very clearly and what Mr. Bush said. I think women all over this country heard very clearly what Mr. Trump said.
We don't want to hear about your careers, back and forth and volleying back and forth about who did well and who did poorly. You're both successful people. Congratulations. You know who's not successful? The middle class in this country, who's getting plowed over by Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton.
You said on one of the talk shows you got Hillary Clinton to go to your wedding because you gave her money. Maybe it works for Hillary Clinton. It doesn't work for anybody on this stage.
I was a businessman. I got along with Clinton. I got along with everybody. That was my job, to get along with people.
But the simple fact is...
Excuse me. 1 second.
No.
I didn't want to...
The simple fact is, Donald, you cannot take...
More energy tonight. I like that. Look.
I was asked the question.
If I were sitting at home and watching this back and forth, I'd be inclined to turn it off. I mean, people at home want to know, across this country, they want to know what we're going to do to fix this place.
I am extraordinarily concerned about the direction of this country, the divisiveness that is going on, the fiscal irresponsibility, the failure to take a leadership position in the world. All of those things will lead to a situation where the next generation will not have a chance.
We need a commander-in-chief who will stand up and protect this country, and I'll tell you, I can't wait to stand on that debate stage with Hillary Clinton and to make abundantly clear, if you vote for Hillary, you are voting for the Ayatollah Khamenei to possess a nuclear weapon.
We made accommodation to the Fort Hood shooter to let him grow a beard. We made accommodations to the detainees at Gitmo. I've been to Gitmo and I've seen the accommodations that we made to the Muslim detainees who killed Americans. You're telling me that you cannot make an accommodation for an elected Democrat county clerk from Rowan County, Kentucky?
Let's remember what the president said. He said the attack that he was going to conduct was going to be a pinprick. Well, the United States military was not built to conduct pinprick attacks. If the United States military is going to be engaged by a commander-in-chief, it should only be engaged in an endeavor to win. And we are not going to authorize use of force if you're not putting men and women in a position where they can win. And quite frankly, people don't trust this president as commander-in-chief because of that.
There's a whole lot to go on right there. Wow. Team Fox coverage expert analysis, Chris Steyerwalt, standing by in Washington for Stephen Hayes, senior writer, Weekly Standard, and Fox News contributor. And Steve, let's start with you. Go ahead and break it down. Break down the night, starting with the winners. In that category, who won?
Sure, I thought it was a very good night for three people, basically the first tier: Carly Fiorina, Marco Rubio, and Chris Christie. Carly Fiorina had at several different points very crisp, decisive answers that were delivered authoritatively. She really sounded like she knows what she's talking about and had some, I think, very good spontaneous response to questions about Donald Trump and to questions about policy. Rubio did the same thing. I think Rubio showed that he knows his stuff very clearly. And I think Chris Christie sort of emerged today, somebody who's not been polling as well, certainly in the national polls, but had several good moments. Where he kind of scolded the other candidates for not being as serious about the magnitude of the challenges that the country faces.
It seemed those three had a strategy, and they stuck to it. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment here. Who needed to do better? Did you see a losing performance last night?
Well, I don't think that Ben Carson did very well. I don't think that Donald Trump did very well. I mean, Carson, these are difficult formats for him because he's not as voluble, he's not as ferocious as some of the other candidates. I thought he did very well in the Fox News debate. Even though he had disappeared for much of the debate, he came back at the end with what seemed to be sort of pre-scripted comments and then a funny closing statement. And I think it got him some attention, won him some support. I didn't think he had a great night last night. And Donald Trump seemed just out of his depth. I mean, he sparred with the other candidates for the first 30, 45 minutes. And then when the debate turned serious, when the debate turned to substance and policy, Donald Trump simply disappeared, and that doesn't help him, I don't think, in sort of a broader scheme of things as people are looking at candidates.
Was that him, or was that the questioning?
I think it was a little bit of both, frankly. I mean, I think that the moderators thought that they'd given so much time to Donald Trump early on, they needed to even things out. But at the same time, when he did engage on substance, there was one particular question that he took about Syria, where he gave about 2 sentences in response to a question about what he would do in Syria, which seemed to exhaust his knowledge. And then he was followed with, I thought, a very thoughtful and detailed answer from Marco Rubio, and then another thoughtful and detailed answer from Carly Fiorina. And in that comparison, certainly the back-to-back-to-back, I think Trump did not come out well.
They had him in the split screen for 90 minutes. I mean, it was a little ridiculous.
What
about the format, as you mentioned? As a viewer, I wonder about the value of a zinger for 3 hours. The candidates so far this morning, Chris Christie, Marco Rubio, they did not mind it. Perhaps they like this.
Yeah, I thought, I mean, you understand, I mean, you've done this, you know, you guys did a great job in the first debate. I think what you're trying to do is get candidates to engage one another rather than just spout talking points. And in that sense, you understand what they were trying to do. And to a certain extent, they had some success. But after a while, in hour 2 and hour 3, they're sort of referencing, well, this person said this about you this time. And it did get a little tedious, I think.
All right, Steve, thanks. Stephen Hayes, lead analysis this morning there in Washington. Thank you, Steve. Martha has more
Thanks,
right
Bill.
now. You bet.